Welcome to County Magazine, a chance to find out what's new across Fairfax County. I'm Bryan Ashby. On this edition, we'll talk about Women's History Month with Phylicia Woods, chair of Virginia's Fairfax County Commission for Women. We'll look back at the dedication of the Turning Point Suffragist Memorial and find out about medical services at the Domestic Violence Action Center. Plus, we'll stroll the aisles of My Market, a supermarket-like experience from Food for Others. Fairfax County is home to the Turning Point Suffragist Memorial, a hard-won space dedicated to the women who fought for their right to vote. In honor of Women's History Month, here's a look back nearly 2 years at the dedication of this important place.
The Turning Point Suffragist Memorial! We are gathered here today on May 16th, 2021 in Occoquan Regional Park, Lorton, Virginia, about 25 miles southwest of Washington, D.C., on part of the historic prison grounds where scores of suffragists known as the Silent Sentinels were imprisoned in 1917 after illegally being arrested and jailed for picketing the White House. We would not have reached today's dedication milestone without the collaborative effort of each and every one of you with us today, as well as thousands of others across the country. We are so very grateful for this support. This is the only suffragist memorial in the country to honor every single suffragist who fought from 1848 to 1920 and to tell the entire story of the suffrage movement.
For any of you who know me, my mother also was a deeply important part of my life. And at 93, she passed this year. So, but she taught me about caring so deeply about people and making a difference in people's lives. And I will always think of her, particularly in these moments. So the concept of fairness is very important to me. It's driven my life, equality, equity for all. Many are continuing to struggle even long after the 1920s and really even into this present day with the Equal Rights Amendment in Virginia. I know we have far more to do. We are not done with this journey. We need to continue to educate, inspire, and empower all of those present and future generations to remain vigilant in the quest for liberty, freedom, and equality, and while supporting them, as well as my hero once said, to create a more perfect union.
22 visionary college co-eds gave birth to Delta Sigma Theta sorority on January the 13th, 1913. Joined the March 3rd, 1913 suffrage parade down Pennsylvania Avenue in the nation's capital gives credence to my attendance here today. They became suffragettes, possibly without even realizing and what their steps would mean in the future. But they strategically recruited Mary Church Terrell as an honorary member. I have to tell you, this is a special day, and Delta is honored to have history recognize her pivotal role in the struggle for the 19th Amendment.
We are also here today recognizing the millions of women and men who fought for 72 years so that a woman's right to vote would be enshrined in the 19th Amendment. Their story until now has, as Pat said, largely been untold. Reduced to maybe a box in a school textbook with Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony. But so many others planned and struggled and devoted much of their lives to the women's vote. They have long deserved recognition and celebration. We have 19 informational stations, 19, no accident. They were developed by a team of historians to detail the arc of the suffrage movement and make clear that the ratification of the 19th Amendment was the beginning and not the end. It would take another 4 years for Native Americans to be considered citizens with voting rights. For some Asian Americans, the vote would come even later, and many black women could not freely vote until 1965 because of discriminatory practices like poll taxes and literacy tests. Even today, the fight goes on to make sure that women everywhere have and keep their right to vote. It took a team effort over nearly 13 years to complete this memorial at a cost close to $3 million. And included on that team were thousands of donors from 45 states and the District of Columbia, truly establishing this as a national memorial. Many here today deserve thanks for helping bring this memorial to life, to make sure that the greatest story never told now will never be forgotten.
March is Women's History Month in Fairfax County and across the nation. It's a time to commemorate and encourage the study, observance, and celebration of the vital role of women in American history. With me to discuss Women's History Month is Phylicia Woods, Chair of Virginia's Fairfax Commission for Women. Phylicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we start to talk about Women's History Month, tell us a little bit about the Fairfax County Commission for Women and what your role is there.
Sure, happy to talk about the Commission for Women. So we were founded in 1971 through a board resolution by the Board of Supervisors at that time. And they wanted to focus on some of the social and economic discrimination that women in the county were facing. And also nationwide, it was the first time the 14th Amendment had been applied to sex discrimination. And many people throughout the nation were advocating for the Equal Rights Amendment to be ratified, which would apply equal protections under the law. So in the 52 years of CFW's existence, we've been really focusing on ways to impact women and girls throughout the county. Our job is to advise the Board of Supervisors on policies and initiatives that uplift women and girls. We're to look at promoting equality, eliminating violence against women, honoring women and girls, and also advocating for progress in the workplace. I serve as chair for the commission, and I've been on the commission since January 2020.
I know you have a rich background in public policy and advocacy. How does that experience inform your leadership with the commission?
So that experience is very important. I mean, you think about how advocacy creates monumental changes. And one of the ways that you can use advocacy is by having constituents write in their various concerns or problems or the reasons why they want a good policy to continue to exist. When I worked on Capitol Hill, we would get a letter, an email, a call, or some type of correspondence from a concerned constituent who would say, I want the congressman to work on this issue for me. So when I think about the work that we do for the commission and how we advise the Board of Supervisors, because we cannot lobby, we're working collectively and cohesively to bring issues and board matters to them on ways that they can create change for women and girls and reduce some of the barriers that they're facing. Now, I have to admit, a lot of the work that the commissioners do, I have learned so much from them. I may be the chair, but they are the true advocates who have demanded change in Fairfax County for a long time, way longer than I've been living here.
Well, sounds like you have a great team.
Yes, definitely.
Good. So how is the Commission for Women commemorating Women's History Month in Fairfax County?
Well, this year, the 2023 theme for Women's History Month is celebrating and honoring our women who tell stories. So we're examining print, radio, looking at bloggers, podcasters, people in social media, and how important they have been in telling the stories of women, but also people around the world. So this year, we are celebrating and honoring the women in Fairfax County. We will have Nancy Lyons Sargent come and speak at a breakfast that we're hosting later in the month on March 31st to talk about her impactful stories as a journalist for NPR. Additionally, we're also bringing together all of the commissions from Northern Virginia. We have about 6 in Northern Virginia, if you can believe it, that are working on some similar issues when it comes to women and girls. They will all join us for the breakfast, and we'll talk about ways where we can collaborate on initiatives that really uplift the people in our county.
So tell me, how does the commission encourage women in Fairfax County to get involved with your efforts?
So the Commission for Women has open meetings, open to the public, and your women are more than welcome to attend the meetings. We meet on the second Mondays of each month, with the exception of August, at 7:15 p.m. You're encouraged to come and participate in the meetings and hear what we're working on. Also, I would encourage women to mentor young girls in elementary school, middle school, or high school. Additionally, volunteer at a domestic violence shelter and give back to the community. Also, supporting local businesses that are owned by women would be very impactful. And, lastly, going to the Smithsonian museums that will have events the whole month of March, honoring women and honoring girls. I would encourage them to attend and go and support those museums.
From your perspective, how does the celebration of Women's History Month enhance life in our county?
It enhances life because women's history is our history, and Women's History Month gives us an opportunity to reflect on the ways that women have blazed new trails in our county, as well as how we have uplifted the people worldwide. Fairfax County has a lot to be proud of. We have a number of women leading the way in our county. Also, when we think about the pandemic, how our leaders on the front lines expertly helped us guide us through the pandemic. And lastly, I'd just like to point out that we just recently elected our first Black Congresswoman to Congress, Jennifer McClellan. She may not represent Fairfax County, but she represents Virginia, and that's something that we all can be proud of.
Absolutely. Any final takeaways?
Well, I would say come to our event later this month, but also, work with the Commission for Women and our advocacy efforts to protect women and girls, and our work to eliminate barriers, but also to destroy the status quo and create an equitable society for all.
Phylicia Woods, thank you very much for coming by today and talking about Women's History Month and sharing all the fantastic work you and the Commission are doing for Fairfax County.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Domestic violence is a public health menace, and it affects Fairfax County residents from all walks of life. As residents of Fairfax County, we are lucky we have the Domestic Violence Action Center to help with medical services and resources that help survivors of domestic and sexual violence heal and thrive again. Take a look.
The ANOVA Ewing Forensic Assessment and Consultation Team, or commonly known as FACT, is a group of specialized medical professionals who take care of the medical needs of adults and children who have experienced abuse. We do see a variety of cases, so to include adult and pediatric sexual assault, physical assault, intimate partner violence, domestic violence, strangulation, child abuse, and human trafficking. We have patients present in many different ways. Sometimes they're coming in through the emergency room. Sometimes we're getting a call from one of our community partners or hotlines. Sometimes they're coming in through law enforcement. So it kind of depends on what stage they're presenting and what our next steps are. So we're going to make sure that they have whatever they need in that process. So a typical case, let's say law enforcement is bringing in a case, we'll get the patient registered. We'll do a brief medical history, circumstances of events. We'll do our medical exam, offer any medications that may be appropriate, offering injury documentation, photo injury documentation, and then providing the patient with whatever resources they might need for the future. Usually when we see patients, it's in the acute stage. So meaning that they've been a victim of some sort of abuse recently. We do see what we consider non-acute or chronic pediatric patients who report a historical assault. Acute versus historical would be, in the acute phase, we're able to get what's considered a physical evidence recovery kit or PERC kit, commonly referred to as a rape kit. So in that acute phase, we're able to get the kit and collect DNA. In the chronic or non-acute phase, that is a child who's disclosed maybe 2 years ago there was abuse, and we're still providing them with medical care, testing for sexually transmitted infections, and making sure they're healthy and have the resources that they need as well. The exams can take anywhere from 2 to 6 hours. We really try to let patients dictate the pace. So sometimes people are, they want to get the exam done and they're ready to go. Sometimes it's the first time they're reporting repeated abuse and they need to debrief and decompress about that. So it really is dictated by the patients. We do not charge patients ever for any type of exam. They never get a bill. We don't send explanation of benefits, so there's nothing that's sent home, anything like that. We have 4 clinics in the Northern Virginia area now. So we have a clinic in Leesburg, in Falls Church, in Vienna, and in Alexandria. We're trying to provide that trauma-informed care closer to home.
Since 1995, Food for Others has been helping Fairfax County residents who are struggling to make ends meet, providing food and services by a team of dedicated volunteers. Recently, Food for Others introduced My Market, a place where clients can select their own food in a dignified supermarket-style environment. Here's more.
The Fairfax Food Council advocates for an equitable local food system that produces and provides access to nutritional, sustainable, and affordable food for everyone. And we do that through encouraging and supporting partnerships throughout the county. In order to have an accessible, healthy food system, you really have to engage all the segments.
This new market is a grocery store-like experience for the families and individuals that come to Food for Others. We started the choice model back in 2016 with a few temporary shelves, a small space in our warehouse, and what we found was that it was such a better way to serve our clients, much more dignified, respectful. It reduced food waste, so many benefits.
So I am just so grateful that we, Fairfax as a community, once again have shown that we care, that we want to support everyone. We call it the One Fairfax policy on our board, that everyone in our community is welcome, belongs here.
What we have here is a fascinating confluence of industrialism, if you will, and human needs. So putting together a system where so much food, so much need is being met, but doing it at a human scale.
So in next week is the last of the emergency SNAP allotments that families will receive. After that time, we feel like there will be another increase in demand as families stop receiving that emergency allotment. If you want to know how to come and get food from us, please check our website, call our phone number. We're open Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 5. We'd love to have you.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of County Magazine. Thanks for joining me. Remember, there are countless ways to get involved in your community and make Fairfax County an even better place to live, work, and play. I'm Bryan Ashby, and we'll see you next time on County Magazine.